Buen dia e bem-vindo a todos os participantes de Aruba su Virtual Job Fair. Mi nome é Ivy Correa, de Corvia Solutions, pero hoje me aqui como sua MC e também membro de Aruba Food and Beverage Association. Para nós começar o dia de hoje, me vai dar a palavra na nossa CEO, senhora Miriam Dabian, que vai nos su bem-vindo. Senhora Miriam.
Bom dia, Masha Danki, Ivy. Bom dia, tú eres que estás escuchando y mirándonos de diferentes plataformas hoy. Esse man aqui não está de fiesta, nós está celebrando Dia Mundial de Turismo, com o tema Turismo e Transformação Sustentável. Este é um momento para reflexionar sobre como nossa indústria está evolucionando e como nós tour por contribuir para um futuro mais forte e sustentável. E também nós está abrindo nosso AFBA Job Fair virtual. A nome da Aruba Food and Beverage Association me tem o prazer para dar um cordial bem-vindo na nosso quarto Job Fair 2025. E aqui nós estamos reunidos em uma só plataforma e participação de várias companhias membros de Aruba no setor de comida, bebida e hospitalidade, oferecendo mais de 70 diferentes posições de trabalho e mais de 140 vacantes. Isso significa que de um só lugar estão que busca trabalho por explorar uma variedade grande de oportunidades e ter contato direto com o possível donador de trabalho. Durante os primeiros 2 dias, nós nos dedicamos a atender citas programar e entrevista agenda. Dia viernes, está um dia abrir para toda gente que quer ainda ter contato e sube a plataforma Aruba Job Fair, arubajobfair.com e busca ainda se tem alguma oportunidade de trabalho e sem cita. A meta principal do Job Fair aqui está clara, para dar aos membros apoio de conectar com gente motivada que busca trabalho e dar toda gente na Aruba, se que busca seu primeiro trabalho ou está considerando fazer um cambio em sua vida, um cambio de profissão, e chance para ganhar uma oportunidade nova. Ademais da oportunidade de trabalho, nossa secção de educação e informação está presente para inspirar. Com participação de instituições de maneira DIMAS, AFBA, API, Universidade de Aruba, AFBA, Toastmasters International, protege para visitantes na secção haya mais informação tocante desenvolvimento profissional, treinamento e está caminho disponível para construir um futuro exitoso. Nós queremos, na nome da Aruba Food and Beverage Association, extender nossa mais profunda gratidão a todos os expositores e esses que buscam trabalho. Vossa participação e confiança dão nos a oportunidade para lançar o primeiro Job Fair virtual para a comunidade arubiana. Isso aqui não é possível sem vosso apoio e compromisso. Juntos, nós criamos oportunidades, nós fortalecemos nossa indústria e nós contribuímos a um futuro mais brilhante para Aruba. Nós animamos para tomar proveito do evento aqui, conectar, sinha e para lagar o mês word inspirar. E quero invitar você a um tour para subir para jobfairaruba.com. Também, se você não tem começar de apoio, para ajudar você para conectar, para fazer você cita, ou para ajudar você a conectar com você cita, com você tem cava, please, você pode fazer isso aqui vindo na Eagle Resort, na sua conference room, e nós vamos estar de 9 horas, de manhã até 3 dias aqui para ajudar você a conectar com o donador de trabalho. Masha Danki, e me desejar você um job fair exitoso.
Hope danke, senhora Dabian, e proximamente me quero dar bem-vindo ao nosso ministro de Turismo, Transporte e Labor, ministro Wendrick Cicilia. Ministro, bem-vindo.
Em nome do Wendrick Cicilia, ministro de Turismo, Labor e Transporte. E no momento na aqui, para vai mira e palavra que me a compartilhar durante a conferência de Dia de Turismo.
Excellencies, colleague ministers, honorable members of Parliament, President of the Tourism Committee of the Parliament of Aruba, Ms. Jennifer Arens Reyes, President of the Parliament of Aruba, Mr. Marlon Snake, distinguished CEO of the Aruba Tourism Authority, Ms. Ronella Croes, distinguished CEO of the Aruba Hospitality and Tourism Authority, Ms. Tisa Lasorte Enriquez, distinguished President and CEO of the Hawaii Visitors and Convention Bureau, Mr. Aaron Sala, distinguished Vice President of the Americas Tourism Economics Expert of Oxford, Mr. Zeke Coleman, distinguished industry partners, pioneers, stakeholders, my friends, good morning, Pabing. It is both an honor and a privilege to stand before you today as Aruba joins the global community in commemorating the World Tourism Day. It is important to remark that this is a very special occasion because for Aruba, we are not only celebrating an economic pillar, but we are celebrating the artery of our economy. Each year, Aruba receives more than 2 million visitors. Aruba is one of the most busiest and most densely visited destinations in the Caribbean. Since the 1960s, the amount of annual visitors has exceeded the amount and the size of our residents' population. Today, Aruba, the tourism industry, is responsible and is the primary income of 25% of the Aruban households. Conform the IMF and the World Travel and Tourism Council, tourism and the tourism industry accounts approximately for 80% of the GDP. Conform the Inter-American Development Bank, Aruba is one of the most tourism-dependent economies in the Caribbean, but also in the world, with a tourism dependency index of 84.7, ranked number 1 in the Caribbean, but also in the world. Tourism is also responsible for 40% of the employment of our people. 30% of all of the registered businesses are related directly or indirectly to our tourism industry. With these statistics in mind, it is important for us to reflect that maybe for some countries, it's a secondary sector, an addition or a marginal addition to a robust economic structure. But for us, it's the artery of our economy, our prosperity, and the well-being of our community. So today is for us extra special. And it's important in this moment for us to reflect on what tourism means for Aruba. And at this moment, as you can see, I would like to express from the heart the voices of the people I encountered the last weeks, but also in the last 5 months. I've been the Minister of Tourism, Transport and Labor for 5 months, and it's been the most beautiful experience and challenge that I have could received in my short lifetime. Tourism is more than an economic activity. As you all may know, we all drive around with the phrase, "One Happy Island," engraved on the license plate of our cars. This reflects our pride because we take pride in our tourism model. The One Happy Island brand, the Aruba destination, the Aruba product is a result of vision, commitment, but also bold decisions from our people, from our visionaries. From visionaries from Juancho Rusking, Oscar Henriquez, but also Henny Ayman, Rory Arons, just to name a few, have developed and designed this prosperity model for us, and today we can enjoy the fruits of their vision. Tourism has been the main economic engine for Aruba, has provided entrepreneurial opportunities for businessmen and women, has generated employment for our people, has also contributed to elevating the quality of life of our people, but also has been a powerful tool in fighting social our economic inequalities, but also has helped us achieve social equity. Through the decades, Aruba has remained committed to the tourism industry on the political level, but also on the social economic level. Tourism is our pride. It is one of our most valued common good. And today, we are celebrating tourism. We are celebrating Tourism Day, but for us, we are celebrating our economic pillar, but also we are celebrating the artery of our economy. This is to highlight the importance of this day and the importance of the reflection that we are going to have today. But as I stand here today, reaffirming our commitment, our political commitment to the tourism industry, it is important for us to ask ourselves a vital question, not only from the government, the industry stakeholders, but our community is also asking the same question. And the question is, how much is too much of a good thing? As we observe the global developments, Aruba is no exception. We are also experiencing the impacts of large-scale development of the tourism industry. Friction between visitors and residents, strains on our infrastructure, public spaces, pressure on the housing market, shortage on the labor market, but also pressure on our ecosystems, nature, but also as we evolve, as we adapt ourselves to accommodate our tourism model, we feel that we lose a sense of authenticity. Yes, Aruba is also experiencing those same tension points. Recently, and with glad and with honor, I can announce that recently the government of Aruba, with all the industry stakeholders which are present today, we signed a memorandum of understanding because to answer this question, it is important to enter into extensive dialogue. And it's important that when we sign the MOU, it's a reflection of commitment, but also passion and pride in what we do as a destination. And it's important to ask ourselves this question, but it's important also to answer the question and to design the path forward and to be pioneers in the new tourism model of Aruba. Sustainable transformation, sustainable practices is the answer. And we are very, very honored to be here today because what we want to conserve is the Aruban effect. What we want to conserve and protect is our economic model and our economic pillar for generations to come. And it's important for us to give real substance to the concept of sustainable tourism, but also to the sustainable transformation. We are in progress, and today we are going to be inspired even more to continue on this beautiful path forward. These include focusing on increasing the wealth per capita, on focusing that tourism conserves but also safeguards what makes Aruba unique, our natural resources, our authenticity, our local community, our beautiful landscaping. Those are the factors that make Aruba unique and a destination above all in the Caribbean. Because we are, as Aruba, and we can take pride in this fact that Aruba is one of the most beautiful destinations in the Caribbean, but also the first choice of many travelers around the world. And we take pride in this because we have worked hard to achieve this milestone. And I think a lot of you sitting here today has contributed immensely to achieving this status. And as we move forward with a sense of responsibility. I can reflect maybe briefly on a paper I've read in these days. It's from Arjen Alberts, and his conclusion is, even a complete halt to volume growth, such as construction moratorium, without changing the essence of the model, will not be sustainable. In this phrase, what we can interpret it is the fact that we need to change our paradigm on how we see and how we perceive and how we handle tourism on island. It's important that the mindset change, we accept it as a fact that it is a collective effort, that we need to unite after a vision, and that we need to be convinced and with convictions move forward with this vision in our mind. The future on tourism and how we move forward as a nation must be shaped by government, industry stakeholders, and the community, united for the common good of Aruba. Sustainable tourism must become our guiding star for both business practices and public policy. Today, we know that true progress cannot be measured only by visitors' arrivals, but also on how we safeguard our natural resources, how we share the opportunities fairly, and how we remain resilient in the face of global challenges. This is what sustainable transformation means for Aruba. And yet, when we speak of tourism, we may speak of strategies, policies, or numbers. Tourism is lived and brought to life by people. As you may see, ordinary men and women achieving extraordinary results. From the general managers, from the tourism authority, but all the way to the bartenders who guarantees that experiences go beyond cocktails, chefs and cooks who turn ingredients into unforgettable memories, housekeepers that let our guests feel that they are at home, but also the taxi drivers who know every corner of this island, our tour guides, our tour operators. They are the real faces of tourism. Their hands, their smile, their pride, their hospitality makes the one happy island that we all appreciate. And the fact that our people are gaining attention, but also they are being admired by the hearts of millions who visit our island is a sense that we need to be proud of. Sustainable tourism must begin by valuing them, improving working conditions, wages, recognizing that behind every economic statistics, there are people who are working hard to sustain the economy of our nation. As Minister of Tourism, I am committed to align all these efforts. Sustainability is not only about protecting the environment, but also about social justice and economic equity. Protecting our coral reefs and beaches must go hand in hand in improving the quality of life of our workers and strengthen our community. Our focus is not only on volume, but on value. Attracting guests that respects our island, support our businesses, and leave positive footprints behind. Transformation is not easy, but it requires bold decisions, it requires passion, it requires inspired leaders sitting today in front of me. And it's important that as we move forward, we keep in mind that our guiding star is the common good of Aruba and the sustainable transformation of Aruba. On this World Tourism Day, I invite you to reflect not only on the opportunity tourism creates, but also on the shared responsibility to protect, to innovate, to uplift. Let us write the next chapter, one where sustainable transformation is the guiding star and ensures that Aruba we love today remains vibrant, prosperous, and resilient for generations to come. And I would like to close with the following remarks. Turismo, di corazón de nossa economia. E esse lomba de turismo está nos generando. E coração está provee vitalidade e prosperidade. Pero esse lomba está provee estabilidade. Nos generam, estão para garantizar o êxito de nosso modelo turístico. Happy Rural Tourism Day. Masha danki.
Danke por a atenção. Me quero felicitar e motivar também para o passo que vai tomar. Nós, de nos banda, quer motivar através do Job Fair aqui, por receber uma oportunidade para ter uma super estrela do turismo de Aruba. Obi êxito.
Masha daqui, Ministro Wendrick Cicilia, para a bonita palavra não com inspirar-nos masha hobby mes. E proximamente me quero dar bom bini na CEO de Aruba Tourism Authority, senhora Ronella Croes. Bom bini.
Anualmente, 27 de setembro, se celebra e comemora Dia Internacional de Turismo. Sempre nós está compartilhando nosso pensamento e ponto de celebração, mas também ponto de melhoração. Como tal, há uma apresentação, riba 19 de setembro, desfrutar de Esaki, e nós te conta riba bom para qualquer feedback, qualquer pensamento que você pode também. Nós te conta riba bom.
But it's a pleasure to be here once again amongst all of you, distinguished guests, my colleagues, friends in the industry. And again, thank you. But as we celebrate World Tourism Day this year, it is a moment to realize again how tourism is basically a driving force for a positive change on different fronts. And in order to make full use of that potential, of course, there are building blocks that have to be in place, right? So making use of that potential of driving positive change through tourism requires, amongst other, good governance. It requires smart planning. It requires responsible marketing. And most of all, it requires a commitment and a long-term vision for sustainability. And these are things, fortunately, again, I did allude to that, but these are things that fortunately we have as Aruba embedded in multiple plans, in multiple actions as well, if you will. But certainly I can say that the Turismo 2030 vision contains a lot of these principles. But it also highlights the importance of this not being a sole responsibility of, for example, the Aruba Tourism Authority or our hotel partners. It is a collective effort. Thank you, ministers, thank you, dignitaries, for your presence, because one of the things that is important is the fact that the Turismo 2030 vision has to be carried across ministries. It has to be carried across sectors. It has to be carried by the community, but also by our visitors. That is very important. And it is important to realize all of these things, and as mentioned by the minister also, yes, there is that commitment that has to be translated more and more into actions. But there is that commitment that was reflected also last week when we signed a memorandum of understanding. Indeed, different parties, the government of Aruba, the Aruba Tourism Authority, the Aruba Hotel and Tourism Association, the Aruba Airport Authority, Aruba Ports Authority, Aruba Realtors Association, and the Vacation Professional Rentals of Aruba. So we all re-emphasized our commitment to sustainability. And of course, we look forward to that trajectory, which is to reflect itself in concrete actions. And this is all very important because it is not the first time that we say it. and hopefully now, after Aaron's speech, it resonates even more, but I'll repeat what we have been saying as the ATA. Aruba's tourism is at a critical crossroads. No está para na cruzada, crítico. And our industry is thriving, yet over-tourism and unchecked development are straining our environment, natural habitats, culture, and the quality of life of our residents. Visitor arrivals continue to grow, but real GDP per capita is no longer keeping pace, showing diminishing returns as infrastructure reaches its limits. If we stay this course, the consequences could be serious, affecting both the well-being of our people and the guest experience that defines Aruba's world-class hospitality. And we ponder on this time and time again. My colleagues at the ATA know this, industry partners know this. We ponder on this time and time again. And one of the secrets to not getting lost in that long list of challenges we face is to simply keep focusing on the vision, day in, day out. Because we have no choice. The minister shared the numbers this morning. We all know it. We depend so much on tourism. We have no choice. We cannot let the industry down. So it is not an option to even focus only on the challenges, but just let's get things right. Let's make things right. So how do we address this difficult question? How can we, as a small island relying on tourism, safeguard our future and promote sustainable development? How do we move towards a regenerative tourism model? It will require certainly bold, collective, and sustainable actions. And we at the Aruba Tourism Authority have continued the path of transformation, amongst other by producing our fourth multi-annual corporate strategy last year, which we refer to internally as our MECS, M-E-C-S, MECS. And one of the steps we are taking is that of stabilizing overall guest arrivals. From a marketing communications perspective, less emphasis is being placed on attracting more arrivals, and more emphasis is placed on a replacement strategy, where we are broadening the definition of our target audience to attract a greater proportion of high-value guests. And looking ahead for next year, for tourism receipts, we have set a target of an increase of 3%, while as for stayover arrivals, we keep it at stable at a plus 1%. Diversification of our markets remains important, as one thing that is a critical part of reaching that 1%, nevertheless, is a growth of 9% out of the Latin American market and a growth of 6% out of the European market. So when you see these numbers, just think about the 1% global arrivals, and as part of that strategy, how we continue to shift market share over towards Latin America and Europe. And we're very, very happy and very proud of the fact that last week we announced non-stop flights from Argentina starting January 2026. But as so rightfully brought forward this morning, last year I also presented a vision of a moderate growth in terms of arrivals. Yet we closed the year surpassing that number. This year, we have a target of 1%, we're set to close the year at between 3 to 5%. And why am I mentioning these things? Because tourism demand is a powerful force, powerful. It is like a jet at takeoff. We may not be able to halt its momentum, but we have the ability to guide its direction. And the ATA's stance is clear, I hope. We often find ourselves in a challenging position, balancing the diverse needs of various stakeholders, including our residents, industry partners, locally, but also internationally, and also our visitors. And all of this while sticking to the strategy to stabilize influx of volume. To be honest, with the high demand and complex considerations, it leaves the ATA and our dedicated team of professionals oftentimes overwhelmed. I know. But we remain committed. We face a luxury problem. Demand for our island continues to be exceptionally strong, offering incredible opportunities, but also requiring careful management to ensure sustainable growth and preserved authenticity. So moving forward, we will clearly track progress through MAX's key tourism indicators, and our definition of success is based on new KPIs. We measure industry-wide outcomes that require collective effort, as well as, of course, ATA's own performance, for which certainly not all sub-indicators are listed in this overview. In addition, we use tools like the Tourism Impact Model to not just track revenues, but also the true cost of growth. Think here about housing needs, water and energy utilization projections as we expand by X numbers in terms of accommodations inventory. Or think about waste generation projections, or jobs created. All of these are embedded in the Tourism Impact Model. Tourism benefits lie, in essence, in reversing and mitigating certain impacts while fostering others. In this regard, I have to mention looking forward to Zeke's presentation as well, because one thing remains important. The US market is our primary market, and within the context of our strategy, it is our intention, and what we stand for is to stabilize US tourism arrivals, and certainly not looking at less of that piece of business. As we move forward towards responsible, regenerative tourism and an economy based on that, Aruba continues to evolve in how it tells its story. We have made a bold shift in our international communication strategy with the Aruba Effect, now featuring Protected. The approach now underscores, more so than before, the importance of safeguarding Aruba's wildlife, culture, and way of life. This approach guides messaging at home and abroad, promoting a responsible guest economy and encouraging meaningful behavioral change, embedded in the powerful statement, "When you love Aruba, it loves you back." For the first time, all our markets are aligned in communicating this shift collectively, internationally.
Lang geleden was er een onbewoond eiland met alleen maar natuur. Tot er mensen kwamen. Ze vonden er poederzacht zand en azuurblauw water. En ze wisten dat het er speciaal was. Een plek om te koesteren, te beschermen. Ze gaven deze plek liefde. En het eiland gaf hun een thuis. Een plek om te groeien en gelukkig te zijn. Het werd de tweede natuur en anderen uit te nodigen en hun thuis te laten zien. Om de schoonheid op verantwoorde wijze te verkennen. En van de uitgelaten sfeer te genieten. Orologie te absorberen. De grandi en de chiquito. Veel mensen zijn door de jaren heen verliefd geworden op dit eiland. En het zal je verrassen dat wanneer je de natuur, de eindeloze zon en de hartelijke mensen omarmt, het eiland je liefde en warmte teruggeeft. En dat gevoel is niet te beschrijven.
Bon dia.
I read a quote about love that said, I knew I did from that first moment we met. It was not love at first sight exactly, but familiarity. Like, oh, hello, it's you. It's going to be you.
And here's another example of how we bring our communication strategy to life. So look at the following clip.
Bienvenidos a Aruba, la isla feliz. Queremos que nos ayudes a conservar y preservar por muchos años más la isla. Para eso necesitamos de tu compromiso, no usando plásticos de un solo uso, admirando la vida marina y vegetal, sin tocarlos ni alimentarnos y llevando la basura hasta el contenedor. Agradecemos de tu ayuda y esperamos que tengas una excelente estadía disfrutando del efecto Aruba.
What you just saw was an in-flight announcement. Hopefully we'll be able to work with all airline partners on such announcements which are shared right before landing. We invite basically our guests who share our values to help protect what is ours, what is theirs to enjoy. We encourage them to enjoy their stay responsibly. And this is only the beginning. We recently commissioned a global study on responsible tourism to understand how travelers define value and act on it. The goal is to learn what guests expect from industry and how Aruba can respond, leading the way in responsible and regenerative tourism. The findings are clear, and they set the stage for leadership. This is new information which we as Aruba have collected through a total of 7,000 surveys. Responsible travel is not niche, it's non-negotiable. So 96% of global travelers surveyed say responsible tourism is important. Consumers expect travel to uplift places, not just avoid harm. Islands are the front line, and travelers know it. 74% say rising seas and extreme weather threaten island destinations. Places like Aruba or Hawaii are at risk, and they're demanding action. Travelers want to give back, but the industry is failing them. So 73% want to make a positive impact, but only 23% feel they haven't been guided on how to do so. Or they have been guided on how to do so, so 23%. So the majority have not been. And the future of travel, of luxury travel, I must say, is local. So 34% of luxury travelers say impact defines luxury. So high-end travelers expect premium experiences and certified environmental and cultural care. So what does this tell us? So responsible tourism is the new standard. And responsible travel is an expectation. And travelers nowadays nowadays are no longer passive. They want their presence to lead to making a difference, making an impact. So what does this mean for Aruba and what's next? Based on these insights, there are key steps we must take together as an industry to drive meaningful change. It's time to move beyond shared responsibility to shared impact. And just 3 weeks ago, we submitted our 2026 corporate plan and budget outlining the key initiatives that will drive impact and move us forward next year. Through strategic collaborations with partners such as Sede Aruba, we are funding forward-thinking programs that elevate quality of life. We will continue to advocate for better access to childcare, housing, and youth development, because Aruba's greatest strength lies in its people. And for our people to truly thrive, these aspects are essential. And we wanted to take a moment to stand still at the following point. Yes, I did mention access to childcare, a betterment thereof. And your contribution in not only that, but in the other aspects mentioned is vital. Imagine instituting a fund and program dedicated to offering childcare, for instance. Sounds too ambitious? Maybe we can start in parts of the tourism industry. It might not be too ambitious. If we go back in time and look at 1992, the Aruba Hotel and Tourism Association and the Federación de Trabajadores de Aruba, FTA, came together and instituted the Pension Fund Tourism Sector Aruba Foundation, PFTSA. It might have sounded ambitious back then. Let's work together to create a fund and program dedicated to offering childcare dedicated to our youth. And this is what nation building looks like, working together to secure Aruba's future, nos futuro. And when we talk about nation building, we are not only to talk and mention things, but of course, we are all expected to continue to act. So as the ATA, we advocate. We assist. We facilitate. We enter into strategic agreements. We improve our product. And through partnerships with our key institutions, we're making sure education, culture, nature, and safety all get the attention they deserve. Bottom line is that as the ATA, we are engaged in multiple projects and collaborations, and the span of work and stakeholders is extensive. Many projects are applauded, and now and then it might be the case, yes, we acknowledge that some projects or investments are not understood or might not be carried by all in the community. Key is that we remain committed, and you can count on us as the ATA, both the teams locally as well as internationally. One aspect that the study on responsible tourism found is that most travelers want to have a positive impact, but often lack clear guidance. Our corporate plan lays out concrete initiatives making responsible tourism simpler than ever for visitors to do good through their choices. So, ladies and gentlemen, as a small nation, as brought forward before, there are intricacies we share with Hawaii, indeed, but as a small nation so reliant on tourism, we are subjected to unique vulnerabilities. and we know that. But we also have the opportunity to lead by example. And Aruba has done so in the past. I can even say that Aruba is doing so at the moment on various fronts. So it is our task, our collective task, to ensure that Aruba continues to position itself there, and not only for marketing, economic, revenue-generating purposes, but for the well-being of our nation. And we are not perfect. Not saying and not even implying that, and we all know that. But we have certainly a lot that we can cover, and we have certainly a lot of opportunities that we can embrace together. We invite you as the ATA to join us in making bold decisions, in making bold moves. As at the end of the day, the choices we make today shape the Aruba of tomorrow. So let's make sure that our choices are extraordinary. Yeah, Minister, you mentioned ordinary people making extraordinary things. So let's make sure that our choices are extraordinary for the well-being of the current community, but especially and certainly the generations to follow. E quero agradecer por estar laborado em turismo. E quero agradecer por sua presença. Eu espero que o mensagem que eu aguardo compartilhar, que eu aguardo transmitir também para outros da comunidade e para tu realizar com esse esforço coletivo. Vou picos que nós perhasi, vou picos que eu guardo hasi, espero ilustrar esse também, mas vou picos mais para guardo hasi também. De maneira indicada, nós estamos numa cruzada crítica, que está demandada em nós, para nós fazer coisas diferentes. E quero agradecer a equipe da Oficina de Turismo também local e internacional para a paciência, para a paixão e para a dedicação. E para ter, ora que a coisa está difícil, mas seguro também, ora que a coisa está bom. E me quero felicitar também para o bom trabalho assim. E danke a todos os sócios que estão parabéns nós. E compromisso nos sentir na múltiplas ocasiões. E agradecer para esse também. Thank you and Happy World Tourism Day. Feliz Dia de Turismo de Awarcava de parte da Oficina de Turismo. Masha Dai.
Maneira indicada no começo, nós contribuímos sustém. Me espera que a apresentação abrindava mais informação segura de que está como vive do mundo de turismo. E com abo também para o papel de Esaki. Participando na job fair significa que se bota traha acaba da indústria ou que bota interessada em Hasisaki. Unibo mês e duna bo granito também na qual está o coração de nosso bem-estar aqui na Aruba com a nossa indústria de turismo. Mas danke para a atenção.
Masha, danke, signora Ronella Croes. E mi credo una tour e persona que join us awe. Danke para te. E al mesmo tempo mi quero invitar a vosso tour para amanhã, nuevo, door de nos diferentes social media, diferentes plataformas, para subir e walk panel conversation, onde nós vamos ter 3 invitados, que são profissionais da área de recursos humanos, que ajudam-nos com alguns tips, alguns do's and don'ts de como abo para preparar para a entrevista de melhor maneira. Me espero de walk para a turma amanhã. Passa bonito dia. Danke.